Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. Hope you're all well. Welcome to Thursday's MCOC video, and we bring you glad tidings and also great pain. The great joy is that Kabam are going to be actually addressing something they set out to do, in that they said, right, well, we're going to look at champions of 3 months implementation into the game and whether or not they're actually doing any good damage, whether or not they are a great champion, a great addition, and kind of adjusting things forthwith. However, though, the pain is that there may be certain champions that are not getting a look into, and some champions that are going the opposite way. Where slight bad-ish news comes in is that Ronan will not be looked into. For a lot of players, they do feel that this champion didn't really do as much damage. I mean, me, from looking at a source material aspect to the point of implementation in game, I did feel that the champion was lacking in the extent of damage output. Now for me, first and foremost, I expected Ronan to be very much like a bleed champion, bladey champion meets a kind of ferociously cruelty Black Widow-ish type champion with a nice little smush together. And I don't know if it really saw the light of day. I mean, some players still feel that the champion is really good, but others feel that maybe the abilities, as I said here, and also a few other people have commented in this forum post, that it doesn't really match what they would have expected, or expect a little bit more damage dealing from that champion. However, Kabam have made their decision on the subject. Now, there's a few other champions that have kind of missed out being looked into, like Namor and Invisible Woman. Personally, I'd be very annoyed, and obviously now I'm a little bit worried that Namor is up for the chop as well. It's a great champion in its current situation, but whether or not Kabam feel that they want to tweak that champion, I would not be particularly happy with. Kabam have made a decision first and foremost to take action against Cull Obsidian, which kind of sucks, and we'll talk about that now. After looking at our data across all game modes, we have determined that Cull Obsidian is out damaging every other high damage champion in the game. While he does have his limiting factors, once he's fully ramped up, he's able to end fights before even high level opponents can do any meaningful damage to him. The goal of Cull's rebalance is to make tuning changes that keeps Cull Obsidian as one of the top damage dealers in the game. I think for a lot of us, we do understand the reasons behind it. It's just the way of implementation is just so strange to us, and I understand tweaking as you go on as well, but again, situation is just so strange for us. If a champion is brought into the game, regardless of a CCP hype, when we hype train a certain champion, which, by the way, I am not going to do anymore because it's just counterproductive to these kind of situations. And especially going like, right, well, Cull Obsidian was a great champion, he's implemented, he's put in as we thought, we bought him as he was, and then within, I think it was a month, that then he was changed. Then in the second month, he was changed, and now he's going into what is going to be the third month, and he is then going to be altered for the future. So again, like tiny tweaking, it's just something that I'm not a massive fan of, especially when it comes to difficult content and feeling that the game is fair towards the player, or is it fair towards the developer. And I'll turn my attention to the responses. So with Cull Obsidian, it does seem very much the point that over the several months, the champion has been tweaked a lot and will be continued to tweak. But the fact is, it just comes to a point where people say things like, well, why are we beta testing champions? And also this particular comment here, which again is very much on point. The people that invest their money into the game do feel that, well, is it a good investment? Especially if champions are going to change quite dramatically. Now, I've recently bought a game, Marvel Powers United, and the fact is, the game is brilliant. It runs so well, and at the same time, I don't have any scuffness, except for some tracking issues, but that's to do with Oculus and not to do with the game. But when you compare it to the mobile game genre, Kabam created a fantastic game. It is so amazing. It's one of the best mobile Marvel games, because the others aren't really all about the technicals. You've got abilities, you've got nodes, you've got passive effects, you've got debuff effects, you've got the whole list of stuff. But the fact is, and the biggest problem, the extent of technicals that Kabam have to keep in check all the time. Especially considering if they missed out on the beta test or the further problems that came from She-Hulk. Sorry, wrong bit there. Fix on She-Hulk. Because the fact is, the bug is something that shouldn't really be in the game. Would this happen in any other game? Possibly. Should it be a case that it took so long to recognize it? shouldn't have taken that long at all. So yes, people are going to feel very frustrated when they see things as intended that go unintended, that go intended, but then change to be something else because that wasn't actually intended to be the first thing in the first place, and therefore you start seeing certain things change. Yeah, mind is completely effed at the moment. So what about the good news from this? Well, the good news is that Ebony Maw is going to get a look into. You said it and we saw it in the data. Although Ebony Maw is a decent defender, he is underperforming as an attacker. The designer said something about his degeneration DPS being just sad and wrong. Well, if that's noted as being a thing when it's the point of implementing the champion, then don't implement him with that extent of DPS. I really don't get it. If the designer knew about this and saw this, then why? Why was it implemented like that? Is these champions being implemented wrong? I don't get it. Anyway, we are looking to boost both his defensive and offensive potential, but with an emphasis on offense. Cull Obsidian and Ebony Maw balance changes should be live in approximately 3 months. So yeah, sorry to kind of like go off on a tangent whilst and mid kind of reading that. But I just found it a little bit weird to read it in a sense of going, well, if it's been noticed, then why? The same thing like the developer, I can't remember the name, I think it's Simon was the developer at Kabam, or the designer at Kabam, said that when Carnage was being introduced the first time, the first iteration of that champion being put in, had some amazing damage dealing potential to it. However, it had to be scaled back. Why? If we've got Cull Obsidian in doing the amount of damage he is, at the point of where the designers went, we know this champion's good and it's been put in, then why is that a problem? Yes, no. Well, like, Carnage was obviously a problem because it was damage dealing too much, but openly knowing that the champion isn't going to be good for the point of doing any offensive damage is a big problem. And again, it's a double-edged sword for Kabam for champion implementation. At the end of the day, I just want to bring this back to points of clarity. And the clarity will really need to be from Kabam. What are the checks and balances in game? At the end of the day, games like World of Warcraft have gone too far with the extent of leveling up, different expansions, different ways of going, blah, blah, blah. Why is that so important? Because they had to create something like World of Warcraft Classic. They went too far, but had to bring it back down for those that enjoyed the previous running of it. So it kind of goes the same way with MCOC. We now have 6 stars as opposed to when we started off the most rarity of champions we could have were 4 stars. The extent of damage outputting is just so ridiculous with new champions that older champions need to be brought up to the current meta in order to perform. But what makes it worse is other champions that are newly added into the game again need to be changed so they don't exploit the system to, again, hugely damage output. And the biggest concern that a lot of us share is, well, we run the risk when we rank up a champion. I don't feel secure to rank up champions anymore. Have you seen a rank up video from me over the last month? No, except for Namor. That's, again, but that's one I'm worried about. The same thing I think could be for a lot of players. When they rank up a certain champion, they have to wait 3 months to kind of make sure that it's safe. And even then, the champion could be changed. I think a lot of my champions are probably on the chopping block as the future goes on. Champions that I've put up to rank 5 have been good decisions at the time, but future changes could really mean that they'll be, well, tanked. This then points to the reality of like, right, well, if we got champions being changed left, right and centre and we run the risk, then we need to get some rank down tickets in order to safeguard us for those resources we spent. What do Kabam have to say on this? There will be a lot of questions about rank down tickets and compensation for changes, and there already are some. As a reminder, we did say that we will approach these on a case-by-case basis and will not be able to make any comments on this yet because we don't know what Cull's balance pass will look like at all yet. Also, a reminder that these champions are restricted to tuning updates and will not change any abilities or utility. Our intention is that if you love your champion now, you should still love them after. And Mike, I hope that is the case because there is a lot of champions for a lot of people that I'd love to really see safe on the matter. At the end of the day, Kabam leave us with a very unpredictable sense in the game. I get this feeling that, you know, am I taking a risk by ranking up a champion based on what I think is intended but actually isn't? It leaves me with just an uneasy feeling with the game. So Kabam, you really need to be careful with these things. When a champion is being put in, don't overstretch yourself. I'd say if Kabam went down to 1 champion a month for new release rather than 2, it may as well just be best to have that extended time period to then hype up said champion, but also hype it up for the right reasons as a fully implemented correct champion against the current meta of the game, rather than having situations like this when a champion needs to be changed 3 months into it. That's just my own personal feeling. 2 may be too much for 1 given month. Just go with 1 champion. Even if it's a case of going like, okay, well, we'll change some different aspect to the way that we're trying to do the premium aspect of the game. You do you. But I'm just feeling now, with the game as it is, 2 champions a month is not acceptable. And it should be 1 champion a month, fully tested, fully working, no problems with any single content. That is what I'd like to see from Marvel Contest of Champions and Kabam in future. There we have it. That has been the video. What are your 2 cents? Put it down in the comments section down below. Check out some other content here. Do you want to see how I played as Doctor Strange? Go in here. Maybe some other MCC content here. Go and have your fill. Thanks very much for watching. Hit the like button, subscribe, and see you in the next one. Bye bye for now.